Welcome back to our 3-week motorbike tour. In Montenegro, we struggle with the wrong Airbnb address, get stuck in traffic, but also roll through some of the most breathtaking views of the trip. Somewhere along the way, there are even a few tears. Let's dive in. After clearing Croatian border control, we inched our way towards Montenegro. The line of cars was slow, the horns were constant, but eventually we crossed into a new country. From border control, it was about 40 minutes to reach our Airbnb.
Guys, a bit more spicy, huh?
At first, everything seemed fine until the GPS decided to take us a bumpy track that barely looked paved. Turns out, wrong address. A bit of head scratching later, we finally discovered the actual place. Simple, with a decent view, and comfortable enough to spend the night in. After a quick freshen up, we walked into town for dinner and to explore the waterfront. Montenegro instantly caught us off guard. The bay was absolutely beautiful. We ended up putting the cameras away while we ate, but afterwards we wandered along the promenade as the sun dropped below the horizon and the moon lit up the sky. We stopped for some fruit and a drink before heading back for the night. We woke up the next morning, packed up the bike, ran through the usual checks, and set off. The plan for today was to ride from Herceg Novi, Montenegro, to Durrës in Albania. On paper, it looked simple, just 234 kilometers. Should have been a quick day ride, right? Except the GPS insisted it would take us over 5 hours. We couldn't quite figure it out why, but decided to roll with it and find out along the way. We followed the small roads until we reached the main one that runs around the Bay of Kotor. And suddenly, wow, this turned into one of the most beautiful rides of the entire trip. The road hugged the shoreline, the crystal blue water on one side, palm trees and flowers lining the other. People were sunbathing, swimming, just enjoying their morning while we rode through this scenery that felt almost unreal. Before long, the GPS pointed us towards a ferry. We debated taking it, but in the end decided to skip it, choosing instead to ride the full loop around the bay. We wanted to soak up every view we could before heading further south, especially since our time in Montenegro was gonna be short. After finishing the loop around the Bay of Kotor, we headed further south. Before reaching the coast again, we had to cross a stretch of inland road, and that's where we ran into a bit of trouble. Traffic was brutal. Cars were crawling along, the heat was relentless, and progress was painfully slow. Luckily, being on the motorbike gave us some options. We could weave between cars or slip along the edge of the road. At one point, Luke tried the roadside route, but it suddenly ended in a tall curb, so we had to do the turn of shame and merge back into line. Just as we did, we found ourselves next to a truck crammed with cattle. The day was scorching, and seeing those poor animals packed in like that was just heartbreaking. Meanwhile, the bike itself wasn't happy either. With its cooling issues, the engine temperature kept rising. We had no choice but to stop. Luckily, we spotted a car wash on the side of the road, pulled in, and gave the bike a proper spray down with cold water. We joined in too, taking turns hosing each other down just to cool off. It turned into a surprisingly fun break in the middle of all that chaos. Refreshed, we hit the road again, but instead of riding through the jam, Luke decided to push the bike on foot for a bit, literally running alongside it.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Eventually, the two lanes narrowed into one, and finally, the traffic began to move a little faster, still slow but at least progress. Our moment of respite was short-lived, however, because we ran into more roadworks, which at one point took us completely off the tarmac. Thankfully, we were on the adventure bike built exactly for this type of road conditions. We then finally dropped back down towards the coast. From there, the road wound along the shoreline, weaving through village after village. The pace was still slow, but now it all made sense. This is why the GPS had predicted such a long ride for such a short distance. But honestly, we didn't even mind. With every curve, we were rewarded with breathtaking scenery. After one last hold-up, this time in a tunnel, we finally broke free of the traffic and started making steady progress. We pulled into a gas station / supermarket for a quick break, grabbed some drinks, and picked up Montenegrin ham for lunch.
As you can imagine.
From there, the ride carried us through a rocky landscape with incredible views, until at last we rolled up to the Albanian border. The border was a bit tense with gypsies milling around, but we finally made it through. Once in Albania, we hit the highway and reached Durrës. There we took a rest day on the beach, ended up in an interesting beach club, but more on that in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe.